All right, and I'm back again. Again, my name is Micah Malone. This is I guess my history content. Um, Micah talks history. Going to be talking today about a book recommendation, I guess, that I have from a historical book that I've read in the past. I believe it was like winter 2024, and yeah, winter 2024. But the name of the book is A Higher Call. So I'm just gonna show it real quick here. It's a pretty thick book, but it's really good. So the book. So I guess best explain the book. Let me help you imagine. I guess the situation that was going on at the present moment. So it's the middle of World War II, and so imagine you're a fighter pilot flying for either Germany or specifically America, but the Allies. So from the German perspective, if you're flying for the Germans, your main goal at this present moment in the war is to keep Allied bombers from bombing Germany itself. So that's like the main goal. You're trying to help keep Germany in the war by taking out any U.S. bombers or any Allied bombers that you can essentially get nearby. So that's their perspective. From the American specifically or Allied perspective, your mission as a bomber, as a member of a bomber crew, as either a pilot or a gunner, like I guess the bombardier, I guess you would call that. But their perspective, their mission, they're trying to bomb Germany. They're trying to destroy as many factories and manufacturing facilities as they can to essentially make sure Germany can't participate in World War II anymore at that point. So between those two perspectives is where the story takes place. So this is based on a true story, which makes it even crazier. But so there's an American bomber crew, and it's being led by this guy named Charlie Brown, and it's not that Charlie Brown, but his name was Charles Brown, but he went by Charlie. So he and his B-17 American bomber crew, they're flying in a B-17 American bomber. So they're again trying to bomb Germany, take them out of the war, destroy as much facilities as everything as they can. So they end up in a fight in the air, and long story short, they're able to drop their bombs, but their plane gets totaled. It's got holes in it. It's missing multiple different wing aspects. Multiple engines are no longer working. So the plane is in terrible shape and could go down literally any minute without getting attacked by the Germans. So, excuse me. Into that environment comes this German fighter. It's a Bf-109. It's what those were called, the fighters the fighter that the guy was flying. But it's a German pilot. His name is Franz Stigler, Franz. But he comes in and he has the opportunity to shoot the bomber down, and it wouldn't even really count that much because it's already completely battered and damaged anyways. But he ends up deciding to not shoot the plane down. So he's essentially in this moment committing an act of treason against Germany, because again his mission is to stop all bombers from being able to operate at all. So even though this one is no longer capable of dropping any bombs, if he lets it escape, it's going to essentially go back to England, where they're launching attacks from at this point in the war, and get it's either going to be refitted and brought back into the battle, or the crew at least will be able to survive if he lets it escape, and they will be able to just hop on another B-17 that the Americans are just cranking out at this period of time. So he essentially commits an act of treason by letting this bomber escape. But not only does he let it escape, in order to prevent it from getting shot down along the route that it's going to take back to England, he flies alongside this bomber all the way. So any German ground defenses, any anti-aircraft guns or anything, they essentially see him flying with that bomber, and so they're I really don't know what you'd think if you were from the German perspective at this point. I guess maybe it's some secret mission or something where there's saboteurs or something on a captured B-17 going to England for whatever reason. But I don't know why exactly they didn't try and at least confirm, or what exactly was going through the minds of the ground people. But nobody shot at them because Franz Stigler was flying alongside that bomber. So he's able to essentially There's a bee flying nearby me. He's essentially able to give that bomber cover in order so it can escape back to England. And the reason why he did this, it's like the book is a lot more detailed than this video that I'm making. Even if I did make an even more detailed one, you'd have to read the book to completely understand everything about like the whole situation and his mindset in particular. But like he essentially like he wasn't fighting for Germany during the war. He was more. Well, hang on. Let me rephrase that. So he wasn't fighting for like the Nazis during the war. He was fighting for Germany. It's a weird. The bee's back. It's like an interesting. He had a really interesting mindset to the point where like, also, and he didn't know about like any of like the atrocities that Germany was committing during the war or anything like that. So that also adds a layer of, explanation to why he was fighting for the Germans. But he was just essentially flying for like the German army specifically and like the German Air Force. Because he had like grown up wanting to be a pilot, and I think his brother was a pilot, but then ended up dying at some point as a pilot. I could be wrong, but I do remember. I think his father was also a pilot or something in the military. But he had like a big military history, and so anyways, he was like essentially like, but the way he was raised, but the way he had like grown up and everything, and like the way he operated and the people he'd interact with during his time during the war, like they were like essentially like fighting for honor for a completely honorless society, but they didn't really know how like bad everything was. Like they didn't know about the atrocities that the Germans were committing. So they were essentially just serving their country at this point and not the Nazi ideology. So anyways, but he catches them up in the air. He catches Charlie Brown and his crew in the B-17 up in the air, and ends up, instead of shooting them down, because that's like the way that he like went through the military and also the way that he was raised, it'd be like a dishonorable action. The book is so much better than any video I could possibly make on it. So go and read the book. It's not too expensive. It's again called A Higher Call by a guy named Adam Makos, Makos. But it's really good. Yeah, so the book, it's like split in like half mostly. So it covers, it first starts off with covering Franz Stigler's like upbringing, like perspective and everything that like led up to him joining the war effort. And like I think it covers the entirety of his story. And then it like covers like the entirety of Charlie Brown's story. It goes a little bit into depth about his crew that he's rolling with at this point. And then the book covers the actual event between the two of them, and then I think it goes back mostly from that point to Franz Stigler's perspective. And like, I guess like the very, like even the writing process of the guy Adam Makos when he was writing this book, like I think it's in the foreword. He's like he at this point, before he wrote this book, he genuinely like thought that all of the Germans were like assigned to the Nazi ideology, and like I guess knew everything about all the like terrible things that the Nazis were doing in the name of the German people at that time. But like he genuinely didn't consider that there were people that actually were like wouldn't have been aligned with the system if they knew what was like, if they completely knew what was going on. And also like an event like this, again, like this amounts to treason on Stigler's part, but he did it anyways because it's like it was the honorable thing to do, it was the right thing to do. So anyways, he ends up flying them up to like, I think it was like France at some point in France, and so allows them to get across the English Channel back to England before heading back to his objective wherever he was going. So he saved their lives essentially through this action that he chose to take. And since like this again amounts to like an act of treason, he never told anybody about what he did. And also like I don't remember exactly I can't remember the ideology behind why the Americans didn't spread the story, but they essentially like, it wasn't a court-martial, but they put the crew of the B-17 through some sort of something. The crew is like, the plane itself was called like Ye Old Pub, so they put the crew of the like Ye Old Pub through like some sort of something where they were like, I guess grilling them for information about like what exactly was going on and how exactly they made it back and everything. But for whatever reason, they decided to not essentially keep this story secret. And so at some point, I don't exactly remember at the present moment, which is why you should read the book. But at some point, they ended up getting reunited as a wasp this time. They ended up getting reunited after World War II. They ended up both surviving in large part on, at least Charlie Brown's part. He survived in a large part because of Stigler essentially sparing his life, and then also sparing his life from the other Germans that might have taken him out from the ground or from any other planes. So they ended up both surviving the war. They ended up meeting in 1990, and then they became friends after that, and became friends until their deaths. But it's a really good story. So the events of this specific, I guess, aerial event, you could say, or whatever, it took place in December 1943. But the story of the book covers from Franz Stigler's childhood up until like their deaths. I don't think it covers Charlie Brown's childhood per se in like as much, definitely not in as much detail, but I think it does address his childhood a little bit. But it covers both of their stories from more or less from their childhood to their deaths and their friendship before then. But it's really good. Again, the book is called A Higher Call by Adam Makos, Makos. And you should definitely read it. It's definitely a recommend from me. I'd give it a 10-star. Yeah. or 5-star, I guess, whichever ranking system you'd prefer. But it's definitely a good book. Definitely check it out. And thanks for listening.